Okay, today we continue with our class Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. So we continue with Sefer Shmiras Haloshon. And today's topic is arrogance. Very important topic, arrogance. Among the root causes Lashon Hara is Gava, right? Arrogance. The arrogant person views himself as a man of wisdom and stature, and he looks down upon everyone else. It is therefore only natural that he will ridicule others. Okay, I mean, we know a lot of these people, Baruch HaShem. The arrogant person is also filled with jealousy and enmity toward anyone in his community who is accorded greater honor than he, right? For whatever reason, the other person is accorded greater honor. He tells himself, but if not for him, I would be the recipient of all the honors. Okay, that's what he thinks. So he always thinks that somebody is taking what actually belongs to him. That's the issue. This attitude brings him to delve into the other person's history until he finds something derogatory to say about him, be it true or false, so that he can heap scorn and shame upon the individual and lower the stature among people. So that's, otherwise he would not do it, but because he wants honor, more honor, so that's the reason this person is doing this. Okay, which is, I understand, a big issue. Okay. Okay, 1 second. The Talmud states in Sota 42b that 4 groups will not merit great divine presence. Sorry, flatterers, liars, habitual speakers of Lashon Hara, and scoffers. Okay. All right. So, okay. So 4 groups, one more time. Flatterers, who needs always flatter people, right? Because they want to get something from them, even attention. Liars. Habitual speakers of Lashon Hara is we learn in our class Hilchas Teshuvah, only the habitual speakers of Lashon Hara are not going to get Olam Haba. So if person speaks here and there, it's of course it's avoidable, but he'll get Olam Haba, right? I mean, if it's his only issue, let's put it this way. Next one is scoffers. That's a name. Arrogance can cause a person to belong to all of the above groups, right? Or all of the 4 groups. He will speak despairingly of his fellow, so that the person will be shamed while he will be honored. He will scorn and mock him. He will falsely boast of personal qualities which he does not possess. And he will flatter the wicked and refrain from reproving them, so that they will not hate him and seek to diminish his honor. So very, very, very straightforward. Okay. Therefore, one who so the wicked, he of course, he needs like people on his side, so he's not going to bother them. Therefore, one who wishes to purify his soul of arrogance should forever ponder the shamefulness of this bitter sin. How can man be arrogant when he was created from Birkat and will ultimately go to a place of dust, worms and maggots, right? So that's from Bircas. One should also ponder on severity of the sin, which is one of 365 negative commandments. As it is written, and your heart will become haughty, and you will forget HaShem your God. That's from Dorim 8:14. The next verse says, take care, lest you forget HaShem your God. So how do you how a person forgets Hashem? So he thinks of himself as a miniature God, or maybe second to him, right? This is why this is arrogance. When a person persists in seeking fame for himself, the opposite occurs. His reputation gradually becomes diminished, and he becomes an object of disgrace in the eyes of others. Very, very sad end. Okay, so whatever he tried to do, opposite happened to that person. Okay, we start here. second. Okay. We continue. So we continue with a new Siman, Siman 39. And the topic, very interesting topic. I'm not sure if we covered this topic in, I think we did, but I don't remember exactly, in our class Halachos of Brochos. Maybe we did. So the topic was concerning one who wishes to eat and drink before the meal. I think we did. Before the meal. Okay, contains 3 seifim. Okay, so a little introduction from the translator. So it says, after completing 4 simanim, returning to food preparation. In this siman and those that follow, Kitzur discusses halachos that pertain to eating meal. So before food preparation, salted meat, all of these beautiful things that we learn. Now we're talking about eating the meal. Before eating and drinking, one must recite Bracha Rishona, first blessing, and the blessing recited before eating or drinking, appropriate to that particular beverage. Say, okay, so they say see Siman 50. Okay, we could get to it. For general rules of Bracha Rishona. Okay. Okay, and okay, so we're going to discuss. So Bracha Rishona, so it's the first blessing, and Bracha Achrona, it's the last blessing. So similarly, after one has eaten minimum amount that subject him to recite Bracha Achrona, final blessing, the blessing recited after eating and drinking, he is obligated to recite the Bracha Achrona on appropriate foods. Okay, so we're going to see like what blessing to say after each food, even though we did it in another class, but here is I guess here is a summary. As will be explained in Siman 43, foods that eaten within the context of the meal, that one is eaten with the bread, do not generally require their own bracha, individual brachas. Okay, so we actually spoke about, I think last time somebody asked this question. Okay. Last time was one. Yesterday. The obligation of Bracha Rishona is such that the meal is fulfilled by the blessing of Hamotzi. Right. So when we say meal, it means the blessing is going to be bread. So it says the blessing upon bread concludes with the words Hamotzi lechem min ha'oretz. Okay, who brings forth the bread from earth. So that's the blessing on bread. Okay, so one more time, the obligation of Bracha Rishona in such a meal is fulfilled by the blessing of Hamotzi, recited upon the bread at the beginning of the meal, and the obligation of Bracha Achrona fulfilled the recitation Birkas Hamazon, grace after the meal and conclusion of the meal. So we start with Hamotzi. That's how we start the meal, and end with Birkas Hamazon, as we know, but they still remind us. Okay, continue. Actually, commentary. Birkas Hamazon, grace after the meal, is a Bracha Achrona that must be recited upon eating bread. Halachos Birkas Hamazon discuss Siman 44. Okay. While most of the foods eaten within the course of the bread meal are covered by recitation of Birkas Hamazon, some food eaten during the meal require their own Bracha Rishona, but not their own Bracha Achrona, while others require both. We're going to see what is the both means during the meal. Okay, see Halachos subject. This Halachos subject to Siman 43. Okay, so what does it say here? So you always have to say the first blessing. Birkas Hamazon, you say only if you ate enough. And if you're going to eat enough, we're going to discuss what enough means soon. This food covers, right? The blessing covers most of the food, but not all of the foods, right? And whatever foods are not covered, like fruits, let's say. So on fruits, you say separate blessing during the meal, right? And after the meal, Birchas Hamazon is going to cover it. So you need to say basically only one blessing. Okay. On this extra food. In certain circumstances, even foods eaten before the meal can be considered part of the meal, with regard to the obligation of Bracha Achrona. With the Birkas Hamazon recited at the end of the forthcoming meal, serving the Bracha Achrona for these foods as well. Bracha Rishona, however, is always required for such food. So we actually, I now remember, maybe it was second or third chapter in that book. So it was, of course, a long time ago, in the book Halachos or Brochos. So we said that, just a reminder, if this food was eaten as an appetizer, to open your appetite, whet your appetite before the meal, so they would be covered. So it's like they connected to the meal, even you did not wash for the actual meal yet, right? It's going to be connected to the meal, and Birchas Hamazon is going to cover them. Okay. In this, Siman Kitzur outlines the various circumstances that affect the requirement of Bracha Achrona for foods that are eaten before the meal. So not always this is going to work, this connection for food that a person eats before the meal to the meal itself. Sometimes it will, sometimes it will not. Okay, so we're going to see commentary. The Halachos pertain to the blessing on food are highly specific to exact circumstances in which halacha is set. Various of ingredients, customs, methods of preparation, intention, etc. From one case to the next can cause a significant change in halacha. So all of these things, let me read one more time. Various ingredients, right? Custom. In some places there is custom to say this blessing instead of that blessing. Okay. Methods of preparations, intention, etc. From one case to the next can cause significant change in halacha. Okay. The halacha set forth here are to be learned with the purpose of acquiring or reviewing the basic guidelines and the determinants that govern the many aspects of halachas pertaining to the blessing. So this commentary says that those halachas are not everything, as we understand from our book Halachos or Brochos. But they say maybe it's for reviewing, right? Or just give us like guidelines to tell us what to look into, right? What subjects to study deeper. Okay. The application of any halacha to a specific case, as with all matters of practical halacha, requires that competent halakhic authority be consulted. Okay, so we'll see. I mean, based on what we learn in the other books, so we'll see what can we add to what Kitzur said and commentary said. Okay. So let's start Siman 1. So it's Siman 39 and Siv 1. Okay, Kitzur begins the Siman by addressing the law with regard to Bracha Achrona, so meaning end blessing. In a case in which before one's meal, one eats type of food that will be eaten during the meal as well. Okay, so it's very interesting. According to some authorities, when the type of the food that one eats before the meal will be eaten during the meal, the two acts of eating are considered to be one. And Birchas Hamazon recited at the conclusion of the meal exempts even that which was eaten before the meal from its own Bracha Achrona. Accordingly, one would not have to recite Bracha Achrona on whatever food he eats before the meal if he plans to eat the same type of food during the meal. Other authorities maintain that this factor alone is not significant to connect the two acts of eating and separate Bracha Achrona is required before he begins his meal. Okay. So let's try to understand before we continue. So we're now going to say to see the halacha about Bracha Achrona, meaning ending blessing, after the meal, meaning Birkas Hamazon, right? And in a case when person start eating, let's say like the way I see it, right? The table is set. Person does not want to wait until everybody comes, so he started eating from some dish, right? He made the blessing, whatever dish on the table, and he started eating from that dish. So the question is, he started eating like a little, whatever he ate, right? Before washing of the hands, and we know that the meal actually starts after he washed the hands and say the blessing Hamotzi, and now the meal starts and everything falls under this category of the meal, right? Whatever he eats after the Hamotzi, Birkas Hamotzi, right? So according to one opinion, since he started eating whatever he started eating, this food was on the table, and he was planning to continue eating when they're going to start the meal, right? So I mean, when they're going to eat the whole meal, right? So first opinion said, yeah, that's a direct connection between what he started to eat and now what is going on, right? So they say that's a complete connection. Okay, so other poskim say that's no, it's not enough. Like why would he start eating? There is no connection. He just wants to eat. Period. There is no connection to what he is going to eat afterwards. Okay, so let's see. So it was like introduction by the editors, and now Kitzur. One who wishes to eat before washing the hands for a meal, certain foods of a type that will be also eaten during the meal itself, regardless of whether they are foods that are eaten during the meal. Regardless of whether the foods that if eaten during the meal, one would be required to recite the blessing upon them, such as fruits, or whether they are foods upon which one need not recite the blessing when eaten during the meal, such as types of condiments, or types of legumes and potatoes, and the like. If one wishes to drink any beverage except from wine, which will be discussed below in CF2, before washing of the hands for the meal, and he plans to drink during the meal as well, there is the dispute among the halakhic authorities regarding this case. Okay, so I mean this sentences continue. So let's stop here, go back, and we're going to review these commentaries. So it says, one who wishes to eat before washing of the hands, a meal. So meal. The commentary says in Siman 40. Okay, next one. Below sets the out halachos for anitalas yadayim, washing of the hands before eating bread. Okay. So when we say meal, it means with bread. Okay. Certain foods or type that will also be eaten during the meal itself. So we're talking about. So we're going to Kitzur is going to list many different types of the food. So now we're talking about whatever he started eating, whatever was on a table. Let's say, I don't know, there were crackers on the table, let's say. So he started eating crackers. Commentary saying, Halachos described in this year does not include foods that are subject to Borei Minei Mizoinos. Blessing. Okay, I'll take back my crackers. We should discuss below in CF3. Okay. With regard to the foods eaten before the meal as appetizer. Okay. Forget about crackers. So let's say there was like I don't know, what can you eat before the meal? Maybe it was there were like cherry tomatoes, small tomatoes, like sort of cold. So he started eating these tomatoes. I think that's would be example. So and of course they're in a bowl, and people are going to eat it during the meal itself. Okay. regardless whether they are foods that are eaten during the meal, one would be required to recite blessing upon them. So, I mean, the general rule is that doesn't matter how much you've eaten, right? Even a few crumbs, right, or something. So you have to say the blessing before. After the blessing, depends on the amount, but there is no minimum amount for Brocha Rishona, initial blessing. Hamotzi. Certain foods require Brocha Rishona even when they eaten during the course of the meal. See below 43.3. The reason there is a factor explained below, not 13. Okay, I don't want to go into it, but we said all of the fruits, all of these desserts, candies, ice cream, in most of the cases are not included in this in the general blessing on the bread. Okay. So, okay. So they say that does not matter. So you eat whatever you eat. So it does not matter whether you would say separate blessing during the meal on this. Let's say you eat, or maybe olives is better example. So you eat olives during the meal, or you're not going to say blessing on olives during the meal. Let's put it this way. I think it's a better example. Okay, and Kitzur continues such a fruits. So he started eating before meal. He started eating fruits, or whether they are foods upon which one needs to recite blessing when eating during the meal. Okay, so commentary. Such as type of condiments. Okay, no, okay. I'm sorry, I apologize. Whether the foods upon which one need not recite the blessing eaten during the meal, right? Why? Such as condiments, all of the vegetables and other things, meat. Okay, so commentary is saying Mishnah Berurah 176.2 points out that when the table is set and one is ready to start eating right away, he may not eat other foods but must begin the meal with bread. So Mishnah Berurah teaches the common etiquette, right? So you don't start eating, but everybody's waiting. I'm not sure why they waiting for some guest to arrive, right? For elderly grandmother walking slowly. Okay, she walks slow, so you can wait another 5 minutes. It's not end of the world, right? So Mishnah Berurah says, don't eat before the meal. What don't eat? Zero, nothing, right? Okay. So and we're not talking on Shabbos, just so you know, we're not. Because on Shabbos, you're not allowed to eat until you make a kiddush. And of course, this case, most likely they did not do kiddush yet. This is because one can just as easily wait for a short time until starting the meal. In which case, that food will no longer be, will not require its own bracha Rishona. So when they start eating, so all these potatoes or meats and fish, they're already covered. So no need for separate blessing. Eating before the meal under such a circumstances cause unnecessary blessing to be recited, which is forbidden. Right? So this, because person could not hold himself, she could not hold herself, that's a big issue, right? Mishnah Berurah said it's unnecessary blessing. I mean, you must say this blessing because you want to eat, so right? But you put yourself in that situation. As we learn in our class, Halachos or Brochos, about weighing blessings in weighing and unnecessary blessing. So this is not in weighing, for sure not, because you have to say it. But you could have avoided. Continue. According to some authorities, this does not apply to foods that one prefers to eat specifically below the meal, before the meal begins. The halacha, I mean, okay. Crazy people. I mean, you're going to start a meal very soon. Like, why would you want to eat something before the meal? The halacha in this Siman refers to a case where one would not have been able to immediately begin his meal. On the other hand, if one will not be starting the meal for some time, the dispute cited does not apply, and he is required to recite Brocha Achrona as well. Okay. It's one will not decide a meal for some time. So, okay, they say whatever the person that they're waiting for is being delayed, or the dish that they thought the main dish is not going to get ready. So in this case, it's a different situation. I mean, they say we need another 40 minutes. Okay, another 40 minutes, and you haven't eaten for 19 hours by now. So, okay, so that's a different story. You can eat a little. Okay. But we're not talking about this situation. Okay, so 1 second. So continue. So upon which one need not to recite the blessing, eaten during the meal. As we said, like all of these such condiments, all type of legumes, and legumes such as peas and beans and potatoes, and likewise, if one wishes to drink any beverage, except for wine, which we'll discuss below, right? So for wine, you need to always say a separate blessing, okay? Before washing his hands for the meal, if he plans to drink during the meal as well, there is dispute among, so I mean, he started drinking whatever, tea, soda, whatever it is, right? Before the meal, and now he wants to continue during the meal. There is dispute among the halachic authorities regarding this case. There are those items that are ate or drank before washing his hands, exempt from the obligation to Bracha Achrona by reciting Birkas Hamazon at the conclusion of the meal. So we're going to see exceptions. Exceptions meaning some appetizers, right? That person eating before the meal. I mean, our custom, we never do that. I mean, our rule in the house, we never do that. Okay. So meaning we never eat before the meal, never ever. Just as also kids. I mean, kids. I mean, if they below the bar mitzvah, so they can eat whenever they want. That's not an issue. We're talking about adults, like even kids above the bar mitzvah, right? Or bas mitzvah. So okay. So 1 second. So one more time. Just as the foods that eaten during the meal are exempt for Birkas Hamazon and not required its own Bracha Achrona. So some exceptions, as we're going to explain. First blessing always required, as we said before, because they start eating before the meal. But after blessing is not required. Why? Because it's going to covered by Birkas Hamazon after the meal. Okay, itself. Okay. Or do we say that those foods that he ate before the washing of the hands for the meal are not exempt from their own Bracha Achrona by his subsequent recitation Birkas Hamazon? Okay, so as we said, as commentary say on that page before, so there are two opinions. Some say it is connected to the meal, some say it's not connected to the meal. And you need, after these foods, if you ate enough, of course, I mean, that's the second condition. If you ate enough of the food before the meal, so you might have need, might have said separate blessing after whatever you ate. So let's see commentary. As explained in the introduction to this CF, the question disputed by the authorities is that the two acts of eating can be considered as one. So that's the main issue, right? The main point of dispute is that two separate acts of eating, or it's one and just separated in time, right? Since he's eating the same type of food both before and during the meal. Okay. Kitzur emphasizes that this doubt applies whether the food is in question is a fruit, condiment, or vegetable. So they say, so Kitzur said it does not make any difference. Meaning, do you need to say separate blessing if you would eat them during the meal, the bread meal, or not? Doesn't matter. For the following reasons, okay. Some authorities rule that even if merely eating the same type of food does not link the eating that took place before the meal with that of the meal itself, nevertheless, in case where a person is planning to eat the foods that require bracha Rishona, even when eating during the meal, such as a fruit, and he plans to eat the food both before the meal and during the meal, the bracha Rishona that he recites on a fruit before the meal covers the fruit that he will eat during the meal as well. So let's try to understand this approach. I mean, let's finish reading and we'll go back and we're going to explain. In that case, the bracha is enough to join the two acts of eating. That the Birkas Hamazon and the Birkas Hamazon, they exempt the fruit eaten during the meal, exempt the fruit eaten during the before the meal as well. Kitzur, by stating that he refers even to a fruit, indicates that he nevertheless considered all other instances of the case of halachic doubt. Mishnah Berurah does offer the ruling on the question as said below on the note 16. So we're going to see. So let's read this commentary one more time, and we see that. So one more time, we have two views on the issue. So one view that two events before whatever person ate before the meal is connected to the meal itself, because he's going to continue eating the same foods. Another opinion said no, those two different things. So now we're going to Kitzur. I mean, this commentary discuss very interesting case. The case of a fruit, for example, a fruit that you have to say the blessing on. So you eat olives. So on olives are fruits, so you have to make a separate blessing, right? During the meal. So now, if he ate olives before the meal, so that bracha Rishona, the first blessing, connected is to the blessing that he would need to say during the meal, and since the connection is like continuation, and now he's exempt from making a blessing during the meal on these olives. So it's like continuation of the process. And then they say, okay, the second batch of olives he ate during the meal, right? And it is covered by what? It's covered by Birkas Hamazon, everything that you ate during the meal, starting from when you say Birkas Hamotzi, right? The blessing on the bread, and until you finish. So everything is covered. So they say beautiful. There is no problem whatsoever. Beautiful, right? So these olives that he ate during the meal covered by Birkas Hamazon, but since they are connected to the olives that he ate before the meal, so okay, they're also exempt. So that's what this commentary says. I mean, I think it's brilliant, very interesting. But Kitzur, he goes a step further. As we just said, he said, and it doesn't matter, it's fruits or vegetables, right? So that opinion said even he ate vegetables for which you would not be required to make the blessing during the meal, and he's still saying that according to some opinion you can link what is the vegetables? Well, let's say our cherry tomatoes, right? So so they link these cherry tomatoes that he ate before the meal to the ones that he ate during the meal, and it covers this Birkas Hamazon. Okay, so if everybody agrees, of course not. But let's try to read this commentary one more time just to make sure that we did not did not miss any details. So it says, as explained in the introduction to this year, the question discussed by the authorities is if the two acts of eating can be considered as one. Okay. Since he's eating the same type of food both before and during the meal. So that's what we said, right? Before and during the meal, exactly the same. It's still on the same table. Kitzur emphasizes that this doubt applies whether the food is in question is a fruit, condiment, or vegetables for the following reason. So as we said, Kitzur lists all of them. Why? Some authorities rule that even if merely eating the same type of food does not link eating just one second. Does not link the eating that took place before the meal with that of during the meal itself. Nevertheless, in case when a person is planning to eat the foods that require Rishona, so he said, okay, some authorities say that these two foods are not connected, right? These two eating sessions not connected, right? If you don't need to make it, but if you need to make a blessing, which is very logical, so you make the blessing on olives, and it should cover olives during the meal, but whatever you're going to eat during the meal, right? Bracha Rishona, even when eating during the meal, such as fruits, olives or fruits, and he plans to on eating this food both before the meal and during the meal. The Bracha Rishona that he recites on the fruit before the meal covers the fruit that will be eaten during the meal as well. So it's very straightforward. I mean, it's exactly as we explained. In that case, the bracha is enough to join the two acts of eating, meaning these olives that he eats before, the Bircas Hamotzi, and after, right? And Birchas Hamazon, they exempt the fruit eaten during the meal, exempt the fruit eaten before the meal as well. So, I mean, it's going this way, and now it goes the opposite way, the after blessing. Kitzur, by stating that he refers even to fruit, indicates that he nevertheless considers all these instances to be cases of halachic doubt. So halachic doubt meaning that some authorities say that they connected, some authorities say they do not connect. Okay. So it's not only tomatoes, but even olives. Okay, continue. Therefore, to avoid the case of halachic doubt, as we learned many times in our class, Halachos or Brochos, we try to always avoid this halachic doubt, like go the middle road, try to satisfy all of the opinions. One should refrain from entering into this situation. He should eat or drink these foods or beverages only before the meal, and then he should recite Brachot Achrona. Okay, and he should not eat or drink these same types of foods or beverages during the subsequent meal. That's okay. It's very interesting what he offers. So, I mean, the person would say, okay, so if it's a doubt, let me say the after blessing on these tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, whatever I'm going to say. Okay, and then it's going to get covered. And whatever tomatoes I'm going to eat during the meal, it's going to cover by Birkas Hamazon. What did I say wrong, right? But not sure. That's not what Kitzur says. Finishes. So let me read again, and we're going to explain. Therefore, to avoid the case of halachic doubt, one should refrain from entering into this situation. He should eat or drink these foods or beverages only before the meal. Okay, that's it. Only before the meal. And then, so meaning only before the meal, meaning not during the meal. And then he should recite Bracha Achrona. So he finished it, and let's say he ate enough for the blessing, as we said, 1 ounce, right? And now he said Bracha Achrona after blessing, and he should not eat or drink this type of foods or beverage during the subsequent meal. So no contradiction in this case. Alternatively, he can make sure that before the meal he's less than the amount that would obligate him to recite Bracha Achrona. Or another of course, possibility, as we learned before in different class. So we said, or let him eat less than kizai. So if he ate less than kizai, he's not allowed to say the blessing after the meal. Okay. So do either or. If in this, but I would say do not eat. Okay. If in this case he did not recite Bircha Achrona first, okay, that is before the meal, he should recite even during the meal. Or if he did not recite it until the meal ended, he should recite it even after he recited Birchas Hamazon. So let's try to understand what it says here, because it says very straightforward, beautifully, right? So person ate these tomatoes, right, and he's not going to eat tomatoes during the meal. No, and he ate enough. So they say they're telling him to say Bracha Achrona, ending blessing, right? Let's say he forgot to do it before, or he didn't have time before the meal. Let's say, possible. So now whenever he remembers during the meal. He can say after blessing. Or let's say he forgot, and they already said Birchas Hamazon, right? So that Birchas Hamazon, as we said before, it does not cover this tomatoes. So he has to say, even after Birchas Hamazon, he has to say this appropriate after blessing. Commentary. In this case, in the case of eating, done before the meal, has no connection at all with the eating of the meal itself, because as we said, the kids yourself do not eat the same food. You don't eat the same food. There is no connection. And the recitation Birchas Hamazon cannot apply to eat even after the fact. Mishnah Berurah 176. So I mean it's very straightforward. They said so if it's the same, if it's the same type of food, okay, you can connect. But if it's different type of food, I mean, you cannot connect. Okay, that's why Kitzur is very specific. He said, do not eat these tomatoes during the meal. Continue. If he did eat and drink before the meal, and also drank those types of food during the meal as well, thus placing himself in a case of halachic doubt described above with regard to the obligation to recite Bracha Achrona on that which he ate earlier, he should endeavor, after reciting Birchas Hamazon on the meal, to eat or drink something that requires the same Bracha Achrona as that of foods that he ate earlier, and then to recite that Bracha Achrona on the foods that he ate after the meal. In that way, this Bracha Achrona exempts that which he ate and drank before the washing of the hands for the meal from this possible obligation of Bracha Achrona. So let's try to understand. So let's say he did not study with us, and he did not know what to do, and he ate these cherry tomatoes before the meal, and he ate enough, and he did not say after blessing. And he did not say after blessing, and he ate the same types of food during the meal, right? So now he put himself this halachic doubt, because as we said, some rabbis said that if he ate same type of foods before the meal and after the meal, okay, there is their connection. So, but since others say there is no connection, so he's not allowed to say the after blessing in this case. Right, so and even if they did say Birchas Hamazon, right? They did say Birchas Hamazon. So this food that he ate before the meal is not 100% covered, since it is a doubt. So Kitzur says, so put yourself in that situation. Let's say find some other food, similar blessing. Let's say now he would eat banana. So after blessing is going to be the same on tomatoes and bananas, right? So and when he making after blessing for banana, he intends to cover his tomatoes as well. That's the thing. The only thing that I would say might be the problem if too much time passed since he started eating, then they ate the whole meal, and now he's eating his banana. So that's a concern, of course. But I mean, he does not say anything extra. He just keeps in mind, have intention to cover these cherry tomatoes. Okay. So continue our commentary. In summary, Kitzur does not rule on the question whether one is obligated to recite Bracha Achrona. So basically, okay, before we continue, let's try to understand. So Kitzur say he should endeavor. Endeavor means he has to try very hard. But if he would not, he did not do any food. He did not have any extra food. He left his house. He's driving somewhere. So in this case, even Kitzur does not rule, but technically, it's understandable. Do not make the after blessing because it's doubtful. So in case of the doubt, as we learn in our Halachos or Brochos class, we don't say the blessing. We try to fix the situation as Kitzur offers here, but we don't make blessings just in case. Okay, continue. In summary, Kitzur does not rule on the question of whether one is obligated to recite Bracha Achrona. So he did not know. When he has eaten the same type of food during the meal and beforehand. So that's a difficult situation. So that's why Kitzur said, don't put yourself in that situation if you want to eat. Okay, eat before the meal and don't eat the same food during the meal. Whether or not they are foods that would require their own Bracha Rishona when eaten during the bread meal. Okay. So don't put yourself in that situation. One therefore advised to avoid the situation. If one does find themselves in this situation, so after the fact, so we say don't put yourself in the situation he did. He's like these kids, right? Even adults. I deal with adults. So I mean, they ask me a question about what should I do. I tell them straightforward. So and then a few months later, the person comes and say, "There's an issue." I ask, "What is the issue?" And the person, he did exactly opposite what I'd say. But look, you're a grown-up person. You have kids. Why would you do that? Should be responsible. I told you the opposite. You did whatever. I mean, of course, I don't say that, but maybe I say it in a nicer way. But right? So all of this after the fact. So now he comes and says, "Okay, now what should I do?" He's encouraged to bring himself into a situation where the Bracha Achrona would be required regardless, right? So meaning eating, in our case, eating this banana. So okay, after we told you not to do it, after we told you that if you want to do it anyway, so here's the proper way to do it, even though we told you not to do it, and now you did it anyway, and you did it your way. So now we'll try to fix it, right? How? You have to eat something else that would require the same after blessing. Mishnah Berurah, however, does offer a ruling on this situation. The ruling depends on whether the foods that were eaten during the meal require their own bracha Rishona. So here's Mishnah Berurah. He takes one side, meaning what? That the side of olives, right? So if fruits, olives. If the fruits that he ate, the food that he ate before the meal, if it's food require its own bracha rishona. Okay. Even when eaten during the bread meal, right? When the foods would not require their own bracha rishona during the meal, one is required to recite bracha achrona on the foods that he ate earlier. So let's read one more time. So we're very clear. Don't make any mistakes. One more time. Mishnah Berurah. So we go by Mishnah. Whatever Mishnah Berurah says, that's what we do. Right? There are different opinions, but Mishnah Berurah, that's what we hold by. Mishnah Berurah, however, does not offer a rule and does offer a rule in this situation. The rule depends on whether the foods that were eaten during the meal require its own bracha Rishona, so like olives, right? Even when they're eaten during the bread meal, when the foods would not require its own bracha Rishona during the meal, one is required to recite bracha Achrona on the foods that he ate earlier. So basically, as we said before, it's as we explained in different commentary on the previous page, when he ate these olives, so those olives exempt olives that he ate during the meal from original blessing, from the first blessing, Bracha Rishona, and Bircas Hamazon on these olives that he ate during the meal. Birkas Hamazon covers all of the olives eaten during the meal, and since they're linked to the olives that were eaten before the meal, so they also covered. But if he ate the cherry tomatoes, they say, okay, it's not covered, and for those he must make a bracha Achrona. Okay, that's what he says. However, if the food, so it's a C7 Shulchan Aruch 76.2. Okay, continue. However, if the foods would require their own bracha Rishona, so like olive, even during the meal, and the bracha that he recite upon these foods before the meal exempt the foods that he will be eating during the meal from the obligation of reciting bracha Rishona, then the procedure described here is unnecessary. So as we say, this that's what exactly we said. I just gave this example about the olives. Okay, so bracha Rishona for those foods is not necessary during the meal. The two acts of eating considered to be one, meaning why they considered to be one, because they're linked, as we said. One, and Birkas Hamazon recited at the end of the meal exempt the foods he eats before the meal as well. Okay, Mishnah Berurah 176 too. Okay, so I think we're going to stop here because the next CF is very long also. So we can answer the question that were asked yesterday, right? So, I wrote them down. Maybe simplify the question. So the question is, so we were learning yesterday about making all the nuts, right? All the nuts, trash bag, and all of the, whatever in a Shabbos kitchen, right? So the first case was about trash bag, right? That smells badly, right? So what can we do? Can we do a twist tie, right? And can we take it outside, like put it outside of the door, front door, till after the Havdalah? That was the first question. So it's a very interesting question. So I would answer it in like smaller parts. First of all, we have to have a rule like to throw the garbage before Shabbos, like take it out, even if it's quarterback, whatever, take it out, because why? It might smell during the Shabbos. So what we do on Shabbos, so the food not smell. In every house, like food starts smelling after some time, especially after fish, right? So we have this bags that when you buy the fruits in the store, they give you like a small bag. So we put in that bag, cover it, wrap it without time, put it in the garbage, never smells. Never. You need to do all of the crazy things with the garbage. That's like practical example advice. There are different types of trash bags. So there are some trash bags with a string, right? So you have it with the strings. So you're allowed to tie with a string, but you're not allowed to tie with to make it a knot, right? Okay, so, or you can make one knot. One knot you're always allowed to make. Or you can, if it's the back is not full, so you can put it like underneath. So this is the back, so you can wrap it and put underneath, and so the weight of the back is going to hold it closed. So in the night, it's not going to smell. And if you don't have an Eruv, you're not allowed to take it out of your door. So let's say you live in an apartment building. So once, like your house, your apartment is your private territory, but then one step, like beyond, right? You go out of the door, so it's already caramelized. It's not public domain. It's semi-public domain. But our rabbis told us to treat it as if it is public domain. Meaning what? We're not allowed to carry. So carry, meaning what definition of carrying? So you take something from private domain, put it in public domain, or from public domain, put it in private domain. So basically, it's not allowed, right? So I mean, I give you like solutions, many solutions how to deal with it. But to put it behind the door, not allowed. If you don't have Eruv. If you have Eruv, that's a different story. Okay, and okay. So basically, it's not going to smell. Okay, continue. So next question is very interesting questions. It says if new package arrive, right? You got your deliveries before Shabbos, right? Arrive on Shabbos. Forget about it, on Shabbos. And what can you do? Because they can get stolen, then ruined from rain, from this, from that. Okay. So the thing is, if we don't have Eruv again, so we're not allowed to move it. Period. Right? It's for you, it's like in some sense, it's new creation, molit, right? But if, let's say, if you live in a private house and you have a porch, and you have the porch has a roof, and have some kind of sides that support in this roof. So in this case, you would be able to bring in the house with your food, not with the hands, but with the food, right? Because it's muktzah, right? If it's so, what we do, I mean, then like it's not what we do. What we advise other people. So, for example, if you buy from Amazon, right, the most popular retailer, so you know that you have Prime, you know that they're going to deliver in 2 days. Okay, so you don't order on Wednesday, like or on Thursday. Simple. Order on Sunday, so they're never going to deliver, right? And plus one person who receives a lot of packages, right, from UPS. So he even I have this UPS account. I have a free account, but you can apply for, I don't know, it's like $20 a year. I don't know, like maybe less. I don't know how much. So you can tell them when to deliver, basically. So this person for $20, so resolved all of the issues. Said, do not deliver on Shabbos, deliver on this day. And even though with Amazon, you can say when to deliver. You have to know how to do that, but I mean, there are ways to avoid it, but don't carry these things on Shabbos. Even they get ruined, so if they get ruined, guess what? There is insurance. You understand? Or stolen, there is insurance. They're going to send you a new one, replacement. Okay, so that's that. So third question was opening the kiddush, can of soda. So there is no permission to open in a regular way these cans of soda, right? Because why? We learned yesterday that I don't know how many issues. So you create an opening, right? And you cut to specification. All of these things are not allowed on Shabbos. I think there are other issues also, right? And you create a vessel that now you can reuse this, even though you're not going to, but you reuse this can, but technically you can't. You can pour some other liquid and this can is going to hold. So what we said yesterday, puncture on a side. On a side, of course, avoid to puncture the letters. And then they say you can open the normal way because it's no longer a vessel, because it cannot hold the liquids, and we did not say yesterday, but some authorities say do it like closer to the bottom. The bottom is always harder. I mean, so all of these things, as I said yesterday, dangerous, especially if it's soda. It has all of the all the gases inside. It's going to create a mess. So better not to do that. But there, of course, you can do it in case of the need. So you puncture on the side. You can open from the top, or you can pour from that hole on the side. There is no problem. And same you can do with all other things, right? So you don't have to do with with a fork, with a knife, as we said, take over the cup with the ring. Not necessary. Punch on the side, pour out the content, and that's it. You understand? So if people, so I have few students, so they are always, they're not very organized, Baruch HaShem, so they always have to know all of these things. So we went over with them all of these Shabbos preparations, and I told them save a few bottles, whatever you will finish drinking juice, right? And don't throw it out this bottle, wash it and keep it. So in the next time when you need to puncture this juice bottle, okay, next one. So okay, you can pour in this bottle. Keep the bottle just in case, right? And as I said, we keep this cups, right? We don't drink soda, but for juice, just in case, right? So that was about soda. And number 4. So it was a general statement. So there is no problem to open packages on Shabbos. If there is no right. No, it's not true. So we said we should open all of the packages before Shabbos, right? But so opening packages on Shabbos for constructive purpose, it's biblical. Right? Destroy for that purpose is biblical violation, but in destructive fashion is rabbinical violation. And plus, so rabbinical violation, and plus to get the food, our rabbi said there is no problem, so you can do it, but you must destroy the packaging, right? So what does it must destroy the packages mean? So if, for example, your kids wants to eat cereal, right? And you did not open the box of cereal, so it's glue shut on top. So you have to take scissor, knife, and you have to cut the box like this and like that. So okay, let's say this is box of cereal, right? So you have to cut like this and like that. So meaning to destroy, so you would not be able to use this box, right? And same with all of the bags. Whenever you open bags, you have to destroy it basically. So in this case, you would need to have these extra bags or extra containers or whatever containers to pour the contents to, and these bags you just throw. You show, you know what? I needed the food, I got the food, and I have to throw the wrapper, right? So are you allowed to do it? Yeah, you're allowed to do it, but you have to throw the container. You cannot keep it. You have to destroy it and throw out. So that's the thing. Let me see if I missed something. I think no, that's it. So all of this, like for example, we said that in some cases it's not practical to open before Shabbos, and it is true, it's not practical to open before Shabbos. But cereal box, it's very practical to open before Shabbos. So the example not practical open before Shabbos, like these icicles, right? Because they go to stuck together. Even though my opinion, even though we don't do that, but somebody asked me, you can pre-open, right? Half open, right? And then continue opening like on Shabbos. Okay. So any other questions? Okay.
Yeah. So can you say blessing on wine, but on apple juice on Shabbos kiddush, and would be this dangerous for a person who is converting to make kiddush?
I got the second question. Could you explain me part about apple juice?
Yes, because in Avdallah, for example, I think it's permitted to make the blessing of wine on other important beverage.
Okay. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, so good question. So our situation is that person does not have wine. Okay, so the question is what to do. So I would say if he has one portion of wine, leave it for Havdalah. Okay, let's say, right? If he has 2 portions of wine, use it for kiddush on Friday night and Havdalah. Because kiddush on Friday nights is biblical. So if you don't have wine on Friday night, meaning so you can do it make kiddush on bread. That's it. So the most proper to do it on bread. You cannot do it on different beverages. But kiddush on Shabbos morning you can do, and on what they say is Hamar Medina, the drink, the beverage of the country. So if it is a popular beverage, respectful beverage in your country, wherever you live, doesn't matter, right? So you can make the kiddush over it. Or if you don't have, you don't want, let's say, so you can do it on what is it, on bread. Okay, so what is the beverage of the country? So if this let's say, as you said, apple juice, if it's popular in that country, yeah, you can make it. You can make the blessing. But if you have like something more important, like for example beer. So all of the, as Kim said, the beer is like more respectful. So you would ask somebody, your neighbor, to come over, let's say, and have a beer, right? But you would not ask your neighbor and say, come over, we have a glass of apple juice. Okay, maybe you're going to ask, but beer is more choshev, more important. So if you don't have a beer, so they say the more important than apple juice is actually coffee. So it's better make on coffee or make on tea. So tea, like during the formal, let's say you're going to a cafe to sit down with somebody to have a conversation. Most of the time people order tea or coffee, not juices. Like unless you're going to that specific place. So is juices one of the beverages of the country? I think so. It's very, very bottom of the list. And of course, so you're allowed to make, if you don't have anything else, you can even allow to make on milk, right? If you not going to eat bread, let's say, not even to eat meat. Even if you're going to eat meat, it is possible that you make the kiddush on milk. It's also important beverage, and then so, well, instead of beverage or geffen, you will say shechakol nichya Berurah. You just say appropriate blessing. So when you're reading from Siddur, the blessing, so you must say the appropriate blessing for this. Okay, so that's that. And the third question was if it's any problem with the convert to say the blessing. There's no problem if a person is in training and he intends to convert. So a person must do, like, as I would say, just say 99.9% of everything, right? Whatever he knows, and make one desecration of Shabbos knowingly, like intention. So a person say, okay, now I want to desecrate Shabbos. So he would turn on the light and turn off without any specific reason. Okay, but why? Because to remind myself that I did not go through a complete conversion. So, but all other mitzvah, yeah, person can do, and he should do, and make all of the appropriate blessings. Like sometimes they teach the kids, and as we said in our class of Kitzur, not pronouncing HaShem's name in vain, right? But when you teach somebody, and a person like a little kid or whoever does not understand, so you cannot teach him say HaShem. So you have to say Adoy, because you teach kids. So you think that that little guy remember, and then you try to help him Baruch Atah, and he would say HaShem exactly you said. You understand? So same with the converse, potential converse, right? So a person learns like kids, like everybody else, to pronounce all of the names properly. That's it. There is no substitutions. You understand? So otherwise, person would remember it, say like wrong things. Okay.
But will be saying the kiddush, making it to be a full observation of Shabbos for somebody who is converting?
I didn't get. Will be making kiddush? What? Desecration of Shabbos?
No, observing fully the Shabbos when the person who is converting has not to observe 100% Shabbos. What happens is, if it is considered 100% of observation of Shabbos, it would be dangerous for him to do that.
Okay. That's what we exactly said. First of all, it's never going to be 100%, because even unknowingly, person would desecrate some things. I mean, we've been learning for some time now, and as you can see, there are many new things that come up, right? Every time new things come up, and you see this is biblical. So meaning if you do it properly in double quotes, so you get the death penalty. And many topics we didn't even cover. And I know I say many times, okay, not now, but I give it just summary, but we're going to cover later on. So there is no almost no way that person who is in training is going to keep the Shabbos properly. In a sense, but he must, but he cannot rely on what I said 100%, right? Even though, because unknowingly it's not 100% can be reliable, right? I'm just giving you an example. So that's why we said that the convert and training has to do like melacha intentionally. That's what I know. I learned about lights. It is a fire, and that's all what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn on and off the light. It's fire. It's not the fire. Doesn't matter. I know we're not allowed to turn on the light for whatever reason, even if it's LED. So there's somebody. Always somebody comes like the person is so smart. Like he said, well, yeah, Rabbi, but there's no like no this spring, right? In a LED. So and it's cold. So maybe it's not a fire. Yeah, it's not a fire, but we already said it is a fire. It's not a fire. It's a different issue, right? We said different issue. One of them is Hazanish says is Boneh. Boneh is building. So he is building. He closing the electric circuit. You understand? So since you know it is not allowed to turn on the light, that's what you do one time. One time is enough. But all other laws of Shabbos you try to keep as to the best of your ability. That's what it is. Okay.
Maybe one question more. We are
okay. Go ahead. Yeah. One. Okay,
so can an acquaintance of mine prepare for me a package on Shabbos and
prepare what?
A package.
Package. Okay.
Package. Yes. Package on Shabbos and mail it to me on this day, which will be arriving any random day.
Okay, so you have a friend, let's say in your city, in another city. Okay, let's say in another city, and he prepares a package for you on Shabbos, right? And he's going to mail, let's say, I don't know, when on Shabbos, let's say on Shabbos, the post office is open, and you're going to receive it on Thursday, next Thursday, correct? That's That's the question. Yeah, there is no problem whatsoever. But you don't tell him to do it on Shabbos. So even if you're not going to benefit from this package on Shabbos, because it's going to take 4 or 5 days until you get it, right? But there's a separate prohibition, separate books in this series we're going to learn about what we are allowed and what we are not allowed to say to tell a non-Jew. And one of the things, we cannot even tell him before Shabbos to do something for us on Shabbos, right? So let's say I tell him to mail this on Shabbos. Let's say, I mean, he does not care, he does not do anything wrong. But for me, I benefit from his work. Why? Because I'm going to receive it on Thursday instead of Friday. So if he would send it on Sunday, let's say Sunday's post office is open, let's say, right? So I'm going to receive it on Friday. But since I asked him before Shabbos to do it on Shabbos, so I will receive it on Thursday. So I benefit from another person, for a non-Jew, for what I said to a non-Jew, that activities that was done on Shabbos. Understand? So it's not allowed.
So in this case,
yeah, go ahead.
It was because the example was because he told me that he's not capable of delivering or doing this kind of activity because he's very busy on weekdays because he works all day. So he told me the only day I have is weekend.
Okay, so keep quiet. Don't tell him what to do. You understand? So even if we ask non-Jew indirectly, whatever you need. So and he would say, so you want me to open the refrigerator and unscrew this light bulb? Yeah, that's what you want me to do. So if you say yes, or you say okay, so it's like you give him direct command what to do, direct instruction. So you just lay like a fool, continue with your story. Yeah, I cannot open. No, I cannot open the refrigerator because there is a light in there. So if somebody would screw lights, so if there was no light, so I would be able to open the refrigerator. So this guy is asking, he's looking at you like he's stupid. So you want me to unscrew the light? I cannot open the refrigerator because today is Shabbos and we cannot open the light. It's like, so what do you mean to do? Okay, you know what? Okay, let me just do it. Okay, he did it. You thank him and that's it, basically. You understand? So these guys say, I am working 5 days from morning to night, and I don't have any time to go to the post office. Okay, so you just change the subjects. Yeah, you understand? Don't tell him what to do for you. Okay, he can do whatever you want. You understand? So that's the thing. Okay. Any other questions?
No, it's all for today. So
okay. Baruch HaShem. All right. So thank you very much for learning, and until tomorrow, Beezrat HaShem. Thank you. Good night.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.